This will be the first video in a future series where I will teach you how to use Python to automate AutoCAD drawings. We will use the PyAutoCAD and PyWin32 modules to create the drawings, and the ComTypes module to manipulate and import information from an Excel document. I will teach you, in this video, how to create and insert points in AutoCAD, modify their properties, and perform operations with them. As my development environment, I use PyCharm, so I will explain how to import the modules I'll be using throughout the videos. The first step will be to create a new file, which I will name Video1. Now, let's go to Settings, then Python Interpreter, and here we will search for the modules we want to install. Click on the plus icon, type PyAutoCAD, then click Install Package and wait for the installation to complete. Repeat the same process for PyWin32. And finally, we do the same for ComTypes. And with that, our environment is ready to start working. Now, we will write from PyAutoCAD import AutoCAD and APoint on our first line of code. This will import these two classes into our code. We call the AutoCAD class by creating a variable, which we'll name ACAD. The variable name can be anything you like. We define another variable, which I will name doc, to get the active document in AutoCAD. We define the third and final variable, which I will name model S, from which we will get the model space and be able to draw in it. We run our code, and in the console, we can see the name of our active document. Now I will explain how to create and insert a point in AutoCAD using Python. First, it's important to mention that the APoint function allows us to create a point object, which can be either 2D or 3D. The APoint function requires three parameters, which are the X, Y, and Z coordinates, respectively. So, when we want to create a 2D point, we simply set the last parameter, the Z coordinate, to 0. To insert the point into our drawing, we use the AddPoint function, which takes one parameter, in this case, the point we want to insert. Now that we understand this, we add a hashtag to turn it into a comment, so it doesn't affect the code. Now let's take a look at three examples of points. We will create these points in 2 dimensions, but everything we'll see from now on also works the same way for 3D. Our first point will be located at the origin of the Cartesian plane. The second point will have a Y value of 10 units, and the last point will have an X value of 2 and a Y value of 10 units. Now let's insert our first point into AutoCAD's model space. We'll insert the point P0. Here, we use the AddPoint function I explained earlier. To see the result, we run the code and switch over to AutoCAD. And here we can see that our point was created. If the point isn't visible, we can use the ptype command in AutoCAD to adjust the point display settings. Now let's see how to move a point from one place to another. To do this, we'll use the move method. This method takes 2 parameters, the starting point and the ending point, so we'll use points P0 and P1, respectively. Now we can see that our point has moved 10 units along the y-axis. Let's continue with copying. Here, we simply call the copy function to create a duplicate of the point. However, we'll move it afterwards so that the 2 points don't overlap. Here, we can now see 2 points, side by side, separated by 2 units. If we hadn't used the move method, both points would have been at the same location. Let's copy the point PA again, and we'll call this copy PC. We will move it just like we did with PB, using the move method. Now that we've seen that our drawing contains 3 points, I'll show you how to delete a point from Python using the delete method. Now let's see how to change the color of a point using TrueColor. First, we'll define a function called color, where we assign the color changing method to the point we want to modify. Next, we define the color using an RGB code. And finally, we assign the color function to our point. The color we're using in this case is red. Here, we can see that the point now has a red color. You can play around with any color you like, as long as you have the corresponding RGB code. Now we'll learn how to make a point visible or invisible. For this, we use a Boolean value. If the Boolean is set to true, the point will be visible in the model space. On the other hand, if we set it to false, the point will become invisible on the screen. Now we'll see how to change the size and shape of points using the setVariable method. To change the shape of the point, we use PDMODE, and to change its size, we use PDSIZE. For the shape, we will start with a value of 100, and for the size, we will set a value of -10. As you can see, the lines of code are quite similar. Inside, we specify either PD mode or PD size, depending on what we want to configure, along with its corresponding numeric value. We place this at the beginning of our code. Positive values for PD size represent absolute values, meaning the point will have a fixed size. For example, when we set it to 10, the point will have a size of 10 units. When PDSIZE has negative values, they are treated as relative values, taken as a percentage. In this case, the points will adjust their size as they get closer to or farther away from the drawing. Here we can see that when we use the regen command, the size of the point adjusts within the drawing. To change the shape of the point, we use PD mode, and to see what point styles are available in AutoCAD, we can refer to the ActiveX reference guide. I'll leave the link to that page in the description of the video. Here you can see that each point style in AutoCAD is represented by a specific number. So, you simply enter that number in your code, and when you run it, the point's shape will be updated accordingly. Let's change the point's shape by replacing the value 100 with 67, and then we run the code. Here you can see that the shape has changed. So all you need to do is check which style you like best from the page, and then enter that number into your code. Let's continue with the next property we can modify using Python, which is the layer of the point. To assign a layer to an element in AutoCAD, we use the layer property, whose only argument is the name of the layer we want to assign. The layer must already be defined in AutoCAD, and it should be entered in the code as a string, using quotation marks. We verify the result, and we can observe that our point PB is now on the point layer. This property can be applied to any AutoCAD object, so it will be very useful in any project. Finally, we'll look at several operations we can perform with the components of points. This is very useful because, for example, we can automate the creation of points that are separated by a fixed distance. We can print the X component of point P0. To do this, we simply write the point we want to check, followed by the coordinate we want to verify in lowercase. We can also reassign the value of a coordinate, for example, adding 5 units to the x component of point P0. We can also reassign the value of a coordinate using another as a reference. For example, updating y based on the value of x. We can use the 4 basic mathematical operations: addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division. The only restriction is dividing by 0, as that would cause an error. We can also assign coordinates from one point using the coordinates of another. For example, changing the y-coordinate of point P1 based on the x-coordinate of point P0. Alright, we've reached the end of the video. Here, I showed you the most important properties of an AutoCAD point that we can manipulate using Python. In the description, I'll leave the link to the reference guide so you can check out all the other properties available for points. Additionally, I'll leave a link to a Udemy course where I automate an AutoCAD drawing using Python. The course is based on a real-world project, specifically, the drawing of concrete beams. There, you'll see everything we covered today applied in practice, and much more. So if you're interested and want to keep learning, you're welcome to check it out. Thank you all so much, and I'll see you in the next video.